Yo, what's going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back into the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle here to take you through the next round of our Fantasy Football Bracket Challenge. Headliner Nation has been voting over on our community tab for a few weeks now, and we're down to the Sweet 16 in our matchups. Hey, just a reminder kind of how this has been going. We set up a bracket similar to what you would find like in March Madness, and everyone's been voting on the head-to-head matchups over on our community tab. Now, some of you have asked a question about how we seeded these players. Well, we kind of wanted to do like tier 1 versus tier 2. So we didn't do number 1 versus number 16 because obviously number 1 is going to win every single time. The higher seeds are going to win all those lower seed matchups. So we really wanted to kind of put the top tier players and the bottom tier players together and kind of work their way down to see who you preferred kind of in that tier 1 and tier 2 matchup area. Give us a little bit better of an idea of guys who are actually in the same ADP area, where you'd be getting them, and who you would rather have. So again, if some of the matchups look a little bit weird to you, that's why. We kind of redid it just a little bit so those tiers would match up a little bit better so you could see guys who would actually be kind of in the same area of ADP. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Do me a favor down below, hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, and leave a comment down below with any matchups that maybe surprised you. We did have a couple of upsets in the Sweet 16 that caught me off guard. So let's go ahead and look at our quarterback matchups first. Number 1 versus number 2, Patrick Mahomes getting the best of Josh Allen with a 77% vote. Not surprised, honestly, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the QB1 in fantasy football. That's not going to be changing anytime soon. Josh Allen, obviously a very good option, but if you absolutely had to pick, you're probably going to go with Patrick Mahomes. Now, I would be interested in hearing from those 23%ers that didn't vote for Patrick Mahomes why they would prefer Josh Allen over him. The only thing that I can think of is maybe because they like the little bit of upside that Josh Allen offers on a weekly basis because of the rushing and the rushing touchdowns. But other than that, Patrick Mahomes is the surefire QB1 in all fantasy football formats. The 10 versus 11 matchup in this bracket, Matthew Stafford barely edges out Tom Brady. This one caught me completely off guard because honestly, Tom Brady should probably be higher than the 10 seed. Now, why is he the 10 seed? Because that's where his expert consensus ranking comes in at, all right? I did not seed these players. This is where the ECR has them, okay? So if you have an issue with anyone's seed, go talk to the people that call themselves experts, okay? Go handle that with them. So to see Tom Brady get knocked off by Matthew Stafford really caught me off guard, okay? Tom Brady, obviously coming off a better season in the same system, all right? And he's got really good weapons around him, of course. Matthew Stafford, new year in this system. He's on a new team, new system. And the weapons around him are good, but they're not what Tom Brady has. So to see Stafford get 53% of the vote, I was not anticipating that. I was almost positive that Tom Brady was going to win this. So again, I'd be interested if you are watching this video and you voted for Matthew Stafford over Tom Brady. Let me know in the comments. Why did you go with Stafford over Brady? What's the reason here? Give me a little bit of a look into your mind because I'd be very interested in knowing why you'd rather have Matthew Stafford in 2021. Well, what about the running backs? What do we got with the running backs? The 1 versus the 2 seed. Christian McCaffrey edges out Dalvin Cook by a pretty wide margin. He takes down Dalvin Cook 79% of the votes. This one was a little bit higher than I was anticipating. I thought maybe CMC would still win this, but I thought, potentially that coming back from injury, Dalvin Cook is a guy that's going to get just as much volume, Let's go with Dalvin Cook this year. I know some people are saying, Dalvin Cook is their RB1, and I'll agree with that. I've got Dalvin Cook as my RB1 right now as well. You look at that and you say, maybe, we just go with Dalvin Cook. But 79% locked in on Christian McCaffrey. not only is their RB1, but probably in a majority of leagues, the 1.01 overall. So no one is scared off by the injury last year. No one is scared off by the added weapons there in Carolina. No one worried about potential for less volume for him this year. Everyone's still in on CMC, and I don't disagree with it at all. I don't disagree with it. I've got CMC at my number 2 RB spot. I would take him 1.01 or 1.02. It doesn't really matter to me. You're picking hairs between these two guys. So whatever you're feeling is absolutely good with me. I just thought maybe the vote would be a little bit closer, but Christian McCaffrey, a pretty nice blowout win. And our closest vote yet, and this really caught me off guard. It literally showed in the community tab is a tie with 50% of the vote going to Aaron Jones and Austin Ekeler. But on our end, we can see that it doesn't go out by decimal points, so it doesn't say that he won by 50.1% or anything like that. But we can see how many votes were submitted on our end, and Aaron Jones won by less than 100 votes. There was over 6,000 votes cast on this matchup, one of the highest ones that we've had so far. And by less than 100 votes, Aaron Jones edges out Austin Ekeler. It was super, super close. I thought Aaron Jones was going to blow this one out of the water, okay? It just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of support for Austin Ekeler. You know, you look at Aaron Jones and you say Aaron Jones is that prototypical RB1, a guy that's going to get a bunch of work on the ground, and he's going to get a little bit of work through the air. And a lot of people come back with Austin Ekeler and they say, hey, this is not a guy that is putting up these type of, those type of numbers. He's not going to get those amount of carries on the ground and things like that. Now, I have some really good Austin Ekeler information. I was finishing up my Los Angeles Chargers portion of the dynamic running back rating for the draft guide. And there are some very interesting stats last year from Austin Ekeler that leads me to believe he's going to bounce back this year. Okay. So I don't have any concerns personally about Austin Ekeler, but I still continue to see some of those negative comments about he's just not an RB1. He's not a guy that can do this or that. So I thought Aaron Jones would definitely be able to beat him out here, but barely edging him out with by less than 100 votes. Absolutely insane there. Now we've got another upset here, but maybe not that big of an upset. Tyreek Hill taking down Devonta Adams, the number 2 seed over the number 1 seed. 53% of the vote going to Tyreek Hill here. With all the news about Aaron Rodgers right now, I'm not surprised, all right? It is an upset, but is it really? I mean, Tyreek Hill can honestly be that 1B, right? If you've got, Devonta Adams as 1A, you could argue Tyreek Hill is your 1B, all right? So he's not really even number 2 at this point, but I'm assuming that a lot of people voted for Hill because of the Aaron Rodgers situation, right? Now, I think Aaron Rodgers comes back. I think he plays with the Packers. I'm not worried about all that, but some people are, all right? And in going with Tyreek Hill over Devonta Adams isn't that big of an issue, all right? If you're even a little bit worried about Aaron Rodgers and you go with Tyreek Hill, hey, you're still going to get pretty similar production, right? You're going to get those big plays. You're going to get touchdowns. You're going to get the yardage. You're going to get everything that you want. So really not that big of a deal. Not really that much of an upset here. I'm assuming that Headliner Nation chooses to go with Tyreek Hill, not knowing really what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. The second part of the wide receiver bracket, number 9, Keenan Allen knocking off number 12, Terry McLaurin. I thought this was one that would end up being pretty close. 62% of the vote going to Keenan Allen. He's got Justin Herbert there, but Keenan Allen always seems to be like one of those overlooked guys, right? It happens every single season. Like, people don't really look at Keenan Allen as a wide receiver 1, and the dude has just been phenomenal his entire career. Maybe it's because of the injuries that kind of derailed the start to everything, but he's a guy that is super consistent. He's got Justin Herbert at quarterback. Terry McLaurin, to me, Terry McLaurin has a little bit higher ceiling this year. You've got Ryan Fitzpatrick there, and you're going to be like the main guy, right? I mean, yeah, you've got Curtis Samuel, and you've got Antonio Gibson, and you've got Logan Thomas, but to me, Terry McLaurin is the guy. With Keenan Allen, you look there in LA, Obviously, losing Hunter Henry, now you're kind of trying to fill that void there that Hunter Henry had at one point in time. But Keenan Allen should be the locked-in wide receiver one there, 100%. Mike Williams, he's going to get a little bit of looks. Austin Ekeler will get a little bit of looks. But Keenan Allen's going to be the guy that boom, boom, boom. He's going to get a lot of volume right off the bat. So Headliner Nation going for Keenan Allen over Terry McLaurin, believing that is a good choice. I've got Keenan Allen just barely over Terry McLaurin in my rankings this year. Let's move on to tight end. Number 1 versus number 2, Travis Kelce winning 84% over George Kittle, the number 2 seed. All the 1s and 2s coming down to face each other here. No surprise here. Travis Kelce moving on, with George Kittle. I just think he's had an injury concern basically every single season he's been in the league. So as of right now, going with Travis Kelce, it's just the safer bet. And I mean, you're getting the best tight end in all of football. Okay, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So Headliner Nation in the 1 versus 2 matchup here in the tight end bracket, 84% choosing Travis Kelce this year. What about number 9 versus number 10? I think Headliner Nation choosing to go with the volume over the upside. Logan Thomas, number 9, getting 58% of the vote over the 10 seed Robert Tonyan. Tonyan is one of those, examples of really high efficiency. And I don't know if he's going to be able to replicate that this year. Maybe he sees a little bit more volume. But just if you look at the efficiency numbers, he was one of the most pass efficient catchers last season in all of football. If you look at some different postings out there from different websites that measure efficiency, Robert Tonyan, because of the amount of touchdowns he caught with the little amount of volume he had, definitely efficiency was through the roof. And then because of his total yardage as well, because of some of that big play upside that he had. Great season last year. But Logan Thomas, I mean, he's kind of that guy towards the end of last season where you could bank on getting anywhere between like 6 and 10 targets. It was just like target after target after target going to Logan Thomas. I don't really think a whole lot of that changes with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know if I'm expecting the same kind of like breakout performance we had last year. Ryan Fitzpatrick loves to air it out. Has never been a huge tight end guy. During his time there in Miami, Mike Gesicki, looked his way last season, but, it was one of those things where it was kind of like up and down. It wasn't like a consistent type performance. When he was in Tampa Bay, some looks towards like O.J. Howard, but, not a whole lot. So, he's a guy that is going to air it out, and he doesn't necessarily target the tight end too often. It's one of those things where if he's feeling it that day and the matchup presents itself, he'll go that way, but he is not going to force it towards his tight end. But the volume should still be there over Robert Tonyan. 58% of the vote, everyone going with Logan Thomas. So there you have it, our Sweet 16 matchup. Now, we know that when we go into like the Elite 8 that everybody is basically going to be picking the top seed, right? Like Travis Kelce is definitely going to beat out Logan Thomas. Patrick Mahomes is definitely going to beat out Matthew Stafford. We know all of that is going to happen. So I don't necessarily think that we'll post that. I think we're going to mix it up a little bit now and do something a little bit different and maybe do a best of the rest voting and then a voting on who you would want overall for fantasy football, whether it be CMC or Tyreek Hill or anybody, because we know, Tyreek Hill is going to be Keenan Allen. We know those are going to win, right? There's no really sense in any posting that. So I'm not really worried about that. We're going to figure out how to finish up the voting, though, so we can get an accurate look on who you're looking at and like those top seeds and who you're looking at those bottom seeds, maybe taking a look at some of the losers, the best of the rest, and who you would take there. So we'll do some more voting. Keep an eye on the community tab and make sure you get a chance to interact with us and take a look at the content that we're putting out. So Headliner Nation, make sure you subscribe, like the video, leave a comment down below, all those good things. Stay tuned. Lots of great content coming your way. Everybody stay safe. Everybody stay healthy. I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.